Now at 5, a Diamond, Missouri man is sentenced for sexual exploitation of a child. Plus, how an upcoming 5K could help save the life of a Fairland, Oklahoma woman. And
President Biden hits the campaign trail to tout his economic measures. I'm Deborah Alford at the White House. As the midterms draw closer, we'll show you which of the president's accomplishments Republicans are criticizing.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Crews are working to stop a couple of brush fires in southwest Missouri. This is KOAM News at 5. Fires are burning near Foliage Road and Heron Drive. Officials say they could threaten nearby structures. And the McDonald County, Missouri Emergency Management Agency says crews down there are fighting a fire near Highway 43 and Poplar Street. That's north of Southwest City. Highway 43 is closed in that area. We hope to have more information coming up at 6 p.m. Now, the dry, windy conditions make fires especially dangerous right now. Let's check in with Doug Heddy.
Yeah, the problem is we are in a severe drought. We really need the rain across the region. So we're super dry, and the winds have been kind of strong for us today. You can see these southerly winds at about 10 to 20 miles per hour. But on top of that, we're getting gusts 25 upwards to 30 miles per hour at times. So that is one part of the problem. Here's the other part of the problem. Look at our relative humidity sitting at or under 20%. So it's super dry outside. So you don't want to burn if you don't have to. Plus the winds are going to stay up as we go through the weekend. All right, temperature sitting into the mid 80s right now. We do have some clouds which are increasing out to our west, but it looks pretty good throughout the evening hours. If you're heading out to an area high school football game, we're going to be dropping back into the upper 60s. Rain in the forecast. We'll discuss that here in just a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. A federal judge sentenced a Diamond, Missouri man to life in prison for sexual exploitation of a child. Authorities say 66-year-old Terry Mixel was a counselor at a Purdy, Missouri drug treatment facility and used his position to solicit explicit images from an underage patient. Mixel was convicted of producing child pornography and using the internet and a cell phone to induce a child to engage in sexual activity. He's sentenced to life in federal prison without parole. A local Oklahoma woman is showing strength in the face of adversity. Kimberly Chase, her husband, and 2 children, along with her family and friends, have joined in the fight against cancer. Kim went to the emergency room for a kidney stone in July of 2020 when she learned she had stage 4 colorectal cancer. It had spread to her liver and lungs. Doctors told Kim she had 6 months to live, but it's been 2 years and 4 months since that diagnosis. To raise money for her treatment, Kim's family has set up a 5K fun run for tomorrow.
I've got a lot to live for. I want to see my children grow up and graduate and get married and have children, and my nieces. I love watching them play their sports and just being here to be with everybody for the holidays. It gives me a chance to fight because I have the will, I just don't have the funds.
There are several ways to support Kim Chase. Those include that 5K run tomorrow starts at 5 a.m. at First Christian Church in Fairland, Oklahoma. Some McDonald County High School students got an in-person lesson on a classic novel. English class students are reading To Kill a Mockingbird. Of course, a story set in the 1930s about the trial of a black man falsely accused of rape. Today, the students went to the historic McDonald County Courthouse to read parts of that book. The teacher says it helps immerse the students in the time frame.
My principal and I had this idea for what I'm calling place-based learning, where we came to the McDonald County Historical Courthouse Museum to read the chapters in To Kill a Mockingbird where the trial happens in Macon. And so in this way, it allows us to imagine the scenario more fully and engage with the text in a way that's really more engaging for the students.
The historic courthouse is now a museum. It's located in the Pineville Square. President Biden has ramped up his public speaking tour as he touts his administration's accomplishments ahead of the November 8th midterm elections. Reporter Deborah Alford has more details from the White House.
President Biden touted his administration's student debt relief plan at Delaware State University, a historically black university in his home state.
Our student loan plan lowers costs for Americans as they recover from the pandemic to give everybody a little more breathing room.
Applications are already pouring in by the millions as Americans race to sign up for student loan forgiveness. 40 million Americans may be eligible to have $10,000 to $20,000 in federal student loan debt wiped clear.
Not a dime will go to the top 5% of incomes, period. It goes to people who really need it.
Forgiving student loan debt will cost the nation roughly $400 billion over the life of the program. Republicans are using that price tag to bash Biden and Democrats on the campaign trail.
We need to stop spending money that we don't have. The runaway spending is one of the reasons why we have inflation.
But the Biden administration has won the first round of legal challenges to his order. A federal judge in Missouri and Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett rejected two separate lawsuits Thursday challenging the rule.
Just yesterday, state court and the Supreme Court said, no, we're on Biden's side.
There are more legal challenges to the president's order still making their way through the courts. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
Not all relief will go to people who went to college. Nearly 40% of the relief will go to borrowers who didn't graduate or who earned a certificate, such as welders and dental assistants. The House committee investigating the January 6th attack on our Capitol formally issued a subpoena today to former President Trump, demanding his testimony under oath by November 14th. The panel wrote that it had assembled overwhelming evidence that he personally orchestrated and oversaw a multi-part effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election and to obstruct the peaceful transition of power. Longtime Donald Trump ally Steve Bannon is going to jail for defying a subpoena from the January 6th committee. Bannon was convicted in July, and today a judge sentenced Bannon to 4 months behind bars. However, he will be free as he appeals the verdict. Bannon's lawyers had argued their client deserved a sentence of probation. Still ahead, spending expectations ahead of Halloween.
Consumers are ready to go big on Halloween again. I'm Michael George with this year's hot costumes and how inflation is affecting prices.
And next in Health Watch, an urgent warning about a spike in respiratory illnesses hospitalizing kids. Topping today's Health Watch, an urgent new warning for parents about a respiratory virus that's hitting infants and young children harder and earlier than usual this year. It's called RSV and is basically the common cold. The symptoms include coughing, wheezing, runny nose, and decreased appetite. But it can cause a lot more respiratory distress in babies and young children because their airways are smaller. Cases have more than doubled in 25 states over the last month and is putting a big strain on hospitals. Reporter Omar Villafranca takes us inside some hospitals where doctors fear they could soon be overwhelmed.
Yep, it's draining.
RSV cases are filling up the emergency room at Cook Children's Hospital in Fort Worth, Texas. One of those patients is 19-month-old Nash. His mother, Jerry Akers, told us she brought him back to the ER after his symptoms got worse.
We were here on Monday and sent home because it was manageable at home, and really we didn't see a lot of change, but my instinct this morning was like, I need to go back.
Dr. Daniel Guzman is treating the toddler. RSV symptoms are similar to a cold, but he says there are more signs parents should look out for.
Well, they're breathing harder, they're breathing faster, they're head bobbing, they're kind of moving their head back and forth, and they're making a grunting noise. That's when we want to take some more action.
Dr. Guzman says at least 1/3 of the ER patients he sees every day have RSV.
We don't see this surge typically until December or January and sometime into February. This is going to be a rough winter season.
Dr. Guzman says the unusual timing of this surge may be related to the pandemic.
Our immune system has kind of taken a holiday, but now that we're back in schools, we're not wearing masks, now we're being re-exposed, and now we're seeing the numbers increase.
At Connecticut Children's Medical Center, they are running out of space as the virus surges.
We're having patients in hall beds, we're using our orthopedic room, we're using other treatment rooms as much as possible. All hands on deck.
I'm Omar Villafranca, CBS News, Fort Worth.
Patients at higher risk for severe illness from RSV include premature infants, children under 2 with lung disease or congenital heart disease, and kids with weakened immune systems, as well as seniors. Every year, RSV kills 14,000 adults over age 65. A CDC survey found nearly 80% of U.S. healthcare providers received a flu shot, and more than 87% got COVID vaccines. Around 67% also received a COVID booster shot. Vaccination coverage was lowest among assistants and aides and those working in long-term care, in-home healthcare settings, or for employers who didn't require COVID vaccines. Using a smartphone to keep track of activity can help determine health and mortality risk. That's the finding of a new study from the University of Illinois that shows the monitoring of gait speed and walk pace can predict the risk of mortality over 5 years. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, why you're going to be able to invest a little bit more into your retirement next year.
Plus, the wind sticking around, but also rain chances ahead. We'll look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be a much warmer day for us today. Also pretty windy across the region. That's why we've had the fire issues, plus the humidity has been super low. But it's turned out to be a nice Friday. Sunny skies. The cold morning lows are gone, at least for a little while. Nice shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Of course, Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, tonight we got 4-state Friday night high school football. We are going to get some cloud interference. But besides that, pretty good. 75 at kickoff. 69 by the fourth quarter of games. And look at these temps. 85 Stockton, 88 Oswego, 86 in Neosho. It's not that cold in northeastern Oklahoma. That's a little bit of a glitch, but everybody is mainly sitting into the mid-80s. But again, it's windy. We got these southerly winds 10 to 20, and then we've been getting gusts at times higher than that. So we've been getting winds gusting 25 upwards to 30 miles per hour. And this is what we're going to see as we go through the weekend. It's going to be a warm weekend, but it's also going to be a very windy weekend. 85 right now, south at 18. Look at our humidity, bone dry, 18%. As we go through the overnight hours, we drop back through the 70s, 60s, but not that bad, pretty mild. Dropping only down to about 65 degrees later on tonight. Look at the mid and upper level clouds increasing on the Kansas and Oklahoma side. These will continue to increase tonight. So a batch is going to rotate through. We'll get another little batch by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon. But finally, next storm system, Pacific Northwest, northern parts of the Rockies. That system will start to affect us on Monday. Tomorrow looks good. 66 in the morning, 75 by noon, 81 by 5. Partly sunny, but it's going to be windy. High temps right around 82. So let's go ahead and step through the weekend. For us tonight, that big batch of clouds rotating through, more clouds trying to work in, especially our southern counties, by the time we head into tomorrow morning. We warm up quickly, upper 70s by noon. Most of us lower 80s again by the time we head into tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow evening, tomorrow night looks good. Clouds thicken up again. Here's Sunday morning. We'll have mostly cloudy skies on Sunday. Random shower, far northwestern counties. Everybody else will stay dry as we go through the weekend. Sunday afternoon, lower 80s, 4 highs once again. Then as we get into Monday morning, this is when our chances for showers and thunderstorms will start to increase. These don't look severe at this point in time, but something we'll watch. But look at the rain spreading in. So here's Monday afternoon, Monday evening, pushing through, and then by Tuesday, we get another little batch, especially in our southern counties, that will kind of work through, and most of this will be out by Wednesday. Right behind it, next Friday, more chances for rain. So this is what we definitely need. All right, rainfall amounts out of this next system. So we're looking at Monday and Tuesday. This would be fantastic. Look at this, a lot of areas, 1, 2, 3 inches of rain. That is what our very drought-stricken area greatly needs. 82 tomorrow, 83 Sunday. Watch the wind, watch the humidity. It's going to stay kind of low. 72 on Monday, 56 on Tuesday. That rain. Wednesday, Thursday look pretty good. Rain chances back in. Once again, Friday into the beginning of next weekend.
The possibility of rainfall measured in inches. It's been a long time since we've seen that.
It's been a long time.
Thanks, Doug. Coming up, why experts expect Americans to spend big on Halloween this year. First, though, we honor a local veteran. William Wells served in the U.S. Air Force from 1971 to 1991. The Galena, Kansas native was stationed in Vietnam, and we salute Tech Sergeant William Wells, a four-state hero. Topping today's Consumer Watch, want to put away more for your retirement? Well, next year you can. The IRS is going to let you invest nearly 10% more in 2023, adding up to more than $22,000. Now it's about $20,000. You won't be surprised to hear the jump is because of inflation. There was other inflation-related news this week too, including changes to federal income tax brackets, which likely mean a boost in take-home pay early next year. Home sales declined for the 8th month in a row in September. That's the longest housing sales slump since the mortgage collapse 15 years ago. But this time around, there's not much inventory. Usually, a slowing housing market means a lot of houses are available, which would push prices lower, but there are far fewer fresh listings because homeowners want to hold on to those lower mortgage rates. So the houses that are for sale are going for more, but there are still bidding wars because there aren't many to choose from. Americans are expected to spend big on Halloween, the most they've seen since before the pandemic. Reporter Michael George tells us how inflation is affecting prices.
For the last 2 years, Kelly Ryder hasn't been able to celebrate Halloween the way she wanted to because of the pandemic. But this year, she's making up for lost time. Are you going big on Halloween this year?
Really going big. We're doing a lot of different neighborhood festivals. The kids are all going to get dressed up. We're doing trick-or-treating, the whole nine yards.
The National Retail Federation predicts Halloween shopping this year will return to pre-pandemic levels, with Americans spending an estimated $10.6 billion on costumes, candy, and decorations. But this year it will all cost more due to inflation. Candy alone is up 13%.
We're all in, and I think people just want to have fun again.
Julie Rame, Chief Marketing Officer for Party City, says they're not seeing the supply chain issues that impacted the holiday last year, so there should be plenty of Spider-Man outfits, which is expected to be the year's top costume, and others are flying off the shelf.
Encanto was a smash hit. That's a really big one as well. We have Top Gun 2. My favorite, the Sanderson sisters, get together with a couple girlfriends, do the hocus pocus thing.
Another growing trend, pet costumes. Americans are expected to spend $700 million on dog and cat costumes. For Kelly, it's all money well spent.
Everything is more expensive.
But still worth doing?
Yeah, of course.
For her first real Halloween in 3 years. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A final check of the forecast next. Up next on the CBS Evening News, the U.S. positions troops in Romania as tensions rise with Russia. Then on KOAM News at 6, we're going to have more on that 5K fundraiser tomorrow to help cover cancer treatment costs for a local woman. Plus how the Joplin Health Department is challenging teens to drive safely. And we're going to hear from the head coach of the Seneca Indians as they look to finish off a perfect season for the first time in 20 years. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Meet the Neanderthals of Shagiskaya Cave. It is the oldest known family group and the first time scientists are able to directly document the fabric of a Neanderthal family and community. And it's all because of the study of ancient DNA. The study shows the riverside hunting community was made up of about 20 inhabitants about 54,000 years ago. They used to think these Neanderthals were just cousins of Homo sapiens, and now they say, for some of us, they were actually our ancestors, at least a little bit.
Interesting.
Yes, okay. The weather, it's dangerous to set any sort of fire.
Yeah, the winds are going to stay up throughout the evening hours, and then all weekend long it's going to be windy. The humidity is low. The humidity is not going to come up until we get into late Sunday. Chances for showers and thunderstorms Monday, and then rain on Tuesday.
Thanks for joining us. CBS Evening News is next, and of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. Let's make it a great evening.